Welcome to Sipping Reality with Jill and
Megan. I am really sore.
Megan took herself snowboarding yesterday, and I love that.
It was a really wonderful experience, and I ate shit a lot, but
She keeps saying ate shit, and I don't think about her falling on a snow hill. I just think about her
literal
eating shit.
No.
It's like really bad.
No,
it's bad imagery.
I fell a lot, Jill. I busted my ass.
There, that's better.
But
she is very sore.
It was good though. By the last few runs, I did not fall at all, so it was good.
It was. But what was really good is that you didn't wait for anyone else. You had a little bit of money and you're like, I'm going to take myself snowboarding. And you did.
Yep.
All by yourself. Went to a new hill.
Yeah.
That you hadn't been to.
I bet you my ex assumed that I went with someone and told everybody that I went with a man. Especially my 15-year-old. He loves to do that.
Oh, that's disturbing.
It is disturbing. It's funny because it's funny because it's the literal opposite of what I've done my whole entire life.
Yes.
And that I'm striving to do. And it's funny to have someone trying to keep you, the image of you as like who you used to be. Or, I mean, I don't even think that was really who I was. I was being kind of held back from who I was. When I'm doing the complete opposite. I used to be such a codependent. I would need to have someone with me or else I couldn't go alone. Yes. And I mean, I've been developing that over the last 2 years since I separated from my ex-husband to be able to do things alone. I had a studio for a while and that was my place. Like I'd never had such a safe place where I could be alone and think and be quiet and write and just spend alone time and not need anybody with me. Yeah, it was a big deal for me to just get in the car and go do that by myself. And I felt the pull to tell people, like specific people that would be like, oh, I'll go with you. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that.
It wouldn't have been the same experience if you weren't alone because you had the ability to walk away from that knowing that you taught yourself how to snowboard by the end of the day.
Yeah.
Not that it's wrong to go with people and be with people and be social and have friends, but when you don't have those experiences where you're able to do things alone, you miss opportunities to build confidence and not just confidence. What's the other word I'm looking for that would build? I can't pull it out of my mind.
Well, when you're used to being super codependent on people and not being able to do anything apart from other people, completely enmeshed in others, it is a huge deal.
Well, it builds a foundation for who you choose to be, and it's a starting
from other
place.
People.
Yes, like this is me. This is what I like to do. I am a snowboarder. I go snowboarding, and it's just your thing. It's apart from anyone else, and it's important that we know who we are when nobody else is around. That we have that foundation of who we are, despite anybody else.
And I think about I've always loved snowboarding. I remember wanting a snowboard so bad. My mom got me one for Christmas when I was young. You know, my parents never brought me to the mountains because they didn't do that stuff, you know. I practice on hills and stuff, and my skills never got any further because I didn't have an adult to bring me anywhere.
To a real mountain.
Yeah. But I loved it so much, and it's always been something that I've desired to do. But I never developed it, one, because I was from the 14 years old on, I was in a relationship until I got divorced. That's ridiculous.
Until you got divorced, I mean, you really have still been.
Of one relationship to another.
You have. This whole time. You haven't been single. You had 1 month where you were single. Purely single.
Yeah, I mean...
And you have had somebody consistent.
I wouldn't say I wasn't single, though, because I was still dating.
But you had somebody. You've had somebody this entire time.
Well, yeah.
I was single for a year. I didn't talk to any men. I didn't go on any dates. That's different. It's different being really single and just dating here and there, or going on a couple dates with this guy and it not really working out, or having somebody that you're consistently seeing for 6 months, several months, a year and a half.
Yeah.
Throughout that whole time that you see weekly.
I did go from one person to another. Yes, I did. But within that, I still was learning to be alone.
Yes, you were. Absolutely.
And to not be enmeshed with those people.
Yes.
Which has been important for me.
It has.
Where I could say, no, I'm busy today. Or I have this, and that going on, but we can hang out on this day.
You have done that very well.
And I think I needed that. So I think even within like allowing myself to date, I still was learning not to be a codependent, not to be enmeshed with people, and to spend time alone, go sit at the book mill and read a book and write.
Or go out to eat by yourself. You've done that.
Oh, I do that.
You started taking yourself out to eat.
Yeah.
Which is great.
And I
love
enjoy
eating
that.
Out by myself.
Me too.
With a book or my laptop or
so
whatever.
Yeah, I can say that like maybe I haven't been like single after leaving my ex-husband, but I have been honoring myself and exploring being alone and being okay with being alone. I remember the very first time I wrote something, I mean, really since high school, after leaving my ex-husband, I went to sit at a place that I used to sit at when I was young, and it overlooked this big field with a farm, and it was a really special place for me. And I went there just to be quiet. And I wasn't specifically planning to write, but I felt the urge to write while I was sitting there. But I also felt the urge to call people. And I had to deny that urge. I'm like, and I had to sit there and I asked myself, why? Why do I want to break this silence with someone else? Why do I feel the need to do that? Mm-hmm. And that was like a really big turning point for me. It became more easier to do that after that moment. I wrote a really wonderful writing while I sat there. I really reflected on why I can't sit and be alone, and paid attention to the urge to want to call people or have to be on the phone with someone or have to have someone with me, instead of just being alone. And that was a really big deal for me. And it's just
that's why it's so exciting to see you make plans. And I was like, oh, why didn't you tell me? I could have gone with you because I want to go snowboarding, because I'm a snowboarder and I haven't done it in many years, and I absolutely crave it and love it every winter. I'm like, I want to go. Yeah. I want to take my kids. I want to teach them and see if they like it so they can go and enjoy it. And I just haven't been in a position where I've been able to. So I was like, oh, and then I'm like, it's fine. I have plans and you need to go do this. So it's great that you're doing it. And next time we can go together.
Yeah.
Because now you've done that.
We'll probably go together the rest of our lives, or alone. Like there'll be many times where I just get in my car in the morning and head out to the mountain during the winter. And then times where we schedule a whole weekend where we just are on the mountain and at the resort, That's
what I really want.
I do too.
I really need to get away and go spend time.
Yeah.
At a resort with a hot tub.
Oh, have to.
All about the hot tub at the end of the day.
Oh my God.
Being on a mountain.
I know, when I came home yesterday, I grabbed some Epsom salt and took a hot bath, and that felt really good after falling so many times.
I was like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be so sore tomorrow.
I am brutally sore, but I'm okay. It was so worth it. And it's funny because I was so sore and tired, but I didn't want to stop going up the hill and practicing. It was addicting because I got better every single time I went down, and it was like, oh.
And it's nice when you're alone too, when you're just learning, because you do need to go at your own pace, and it allows you to do that, and it allows you to not stop, because if you're with someone else, they can be like, oh, I need to take a break, or oh, I'm hungry, and then you lose that rhythm. And when you're alone and you're just learning, it really gives you the time and the ability to listen to yourself and what you need.
I was dedicated to myself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And learning.
Yeah.
And just being able to focus on that and not be focused on anything else but what your body was needing as far as stopping or keep going or...
Yeah. I mean, there was a moment
whatever.
where I stopped in the middle of the hill, and I I had to talk to myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, my like muscles in my feet up my calf are burning right now. Like, can I keep? And I'm like, nope, you're gonna do this. Like, you're gonna keep going. And if I had someone there to like break my mental process,
yes,
and like talk to me about something, or
try and be the one to encourage you,
and like
not do it the way you were needing it in the moment.
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it was definitely an awesome experience to go.
That's where I do the opposite. So you've had this thing where you're always with people. I have this thing where I have to do everything alone. I don't like going anywhere with anyone. When I was young, I would drive everywhere myself because I want to be able to leave when I want. I want to be able to stay if I want. I got myself into a lot of trouble doing that because I would always be everywhere alone, and it also kept me separated from other people, and I didn't develop close relationships even though I've always desired close relationships because I literally don't want anyone to mess with my process. I don't want to go snowboarding with anyone. And if I go snowboarding with you, I want to say bye and we'll meet up at this time for lunch.
Right.
I don't want to sit there and have to wait for you, or I don't want you taking off on me and me feeling like I need to rush down the mountain to keep up with you. I don't want to get scared and have you mess with my mental process that I need to be able to get down that really steep, icy part of that mountain. I just want to breathe, pump myself up, and do it.
Right.
And if I fall, I don't want anyone there. I just want to like force myself back up. And yet, like, if you get really hurt, of course you want people around, but in you talking, it's really bringing up for me how hyper independent I've been. I have always gone out to eat alone. I've always done things alone. I prefer to walk into a place alone and walk out alone, but I don't truly. So this is the thing. It's like I truly actually desire to have close, intimate relationships and to have a group of friends that I do things with and spend time with. And having a good balance of being with people and being alone, I think is absolutely the healthiest. That would be the ideal.
Right.
And it's the ideal that I seek and am seeking to develop in my life. And yet I've been combating that part of me, which is the exact opposite of what you've been combating.
It's interesting, right?
Yes, I combat to let people in. And
while you were talking, I was thinking about how I always drove with someone else when I was younger. I was in my friend's car all the time, and she was that way. She was like, nope, I'm driving. We're not going with you. I'm leaving when I want. I'm not getting stuck somewhere. Like, she was very much like you, but I was very much like, I did get stuck places and I couldn't leave when I wanted. And because I was just so dependent on being with someone.
And there has to be a middle ground there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Of health. And definitely. It's interesting how you've lived on one extreme and I've lived on the other. But it's kept us from, both of us, from developing healthy relationships because one creates enmeshment and one creates isolation.
Yeah.
And they're both damaging and very sad, lonely ways to live.
Yeah, because it is lonely when you're enmeshed with someone, in a sense, because even though you're with them, there's this feeling that is missing. Like,
it's not healthy because you're missing.
Yeah, because I don't know who I am. Yes. Yeah, I have no idea who I am apart from this person, or how to function apart from being with someone. And so it was a super lonely feeling.
And it's not true relationship. You have to live within a delusion to be in that.
Right. And that's why, honestly, I don't fear ever being enmeshed with someone again or being addicted to another person in that way. Even if our relationship is so great and we love being with each other and it's just thrilling, I don't see myself ever being enmeshed like that again and not being able to be like, well, no, I have this schedule. I have some things that I have to take care of before we hang out. Here's the days I have available. I was never able to do that. And I don't ever see myself going back to not being like that now because I care for the things that matter to me, the things that I need to take care of beyond just like, oh, you're available, let me go. That feeling of like, oh my God, they're free. They're not going to want to hang out. Like, I'm going to have to break my plans to... No, I don't ever see myself doing that again. I just couldn't, because I enjoy having those boundaries now more than now that I have them. It is changed. It's been a paradigm shift, really. It's like when you read a certain book, there are certain books, I think, in people's lives, if you're readers, and most people have read a book that it's been like changed their whole mind. Like they could never think the same after that. You know what I mean? Like that's how it feels. Like I just feel like I could never be the same. I could never allow someone to take my time like that again, or give up my time like that again, and not be important enough to do the things that matter to me separate from someone.
To give them up. Because you're learning what's important to you.
Right.
You've been learning that over the last 2 years, and now you don't want to give that up.
Never.
It sounds like.
No.
For me, I feel like it's really interesting listening to you talk about this, because a lot of fear is like rising up in me right now. Around
Tell me about it.
This. Well, I don't know. It hasn't really formulated yet. It's just interesting. And I feel like I've really been struggling with this and haven't actually acknowledged that.
Like wanting to include other people and not isolate yourself.
Well, just wanting, I don't know. I've been feeling the last 2 weeks, I think I've been really triggered and tired, and I don't know, it brought me to this place where I started to feel like I want everybody to just leave me alone.
Well, I have felt that. I mean, the other night I was here, and you weren't rude or anything, but I in
the past I would have been, though.
Oh yeah, you would have made me feel super uncomfortable.
Because I wouldn't have asked you to leave.
No,
because
you would.
I would never do anything to ask.
But you would have
to
passively made me feel super uncomfortable,
until
and like I was a jerk.
Yes, until she left.
For like,
and then I
was impeding on you, and
yes.
Yeah, oh yeah, you would have totally. But no, you were.
Well, I didn't know if I wanted you to leave. I didn't.
You didn't.
Like
no, you did, and you didn't, and I could feel it. I was like, listen, I think I'm just gonna go because I think you do need some alone time. But I also acknowledge that you want me here.
And I felt like, it was really good communication, and it was very respectful and loving, and I felt like, I thought about it after you left. I was like, would I have been okay if she stayed? And I'm like, I think I would have been. Yeah. I would have been okay if you had stayed. But 6 months ago, I wouldn't have been. If you had stayed, maybe even 3 months ago, it would have drained me so much to have to be around someone, because I'm so hyper vigilant when I'm around other people. And I think that it drains me and it exhausts me.
But I think that also our relationship lends to you feeling like I don't drain you. Like when I'm with you, I care for you. I help you with the kids. I ask you what you need, actually ask you what you need. Like, hey, can I do the dishes for you? How do you put them in your dishwasher? Like, I'm not going to just like do it my way, because it's not helpful, right? It's not truly helpful when someone helps you the way they want to help you.
Yes.
It's helpful when someone helps you the way you need to be helped.
Yes. That's
right?
such a huge point.
It is.
We could do a whole show just on that.
I think we absolutely should.
A whole show. I said that really funny, didn't I?
Yeah.
A whole show.
A whole show. But I've asked you, I'm like, okay, I want to help you with the dishes. Like, how do you put them in here? And you're like, it'd be easier just for me to get them done quickly. I know how to put it in there. Or one time you were like, I put the bowls here, and I did some of it, but I wasn't going to do it without asking how you do it, because it wouldn't have been helpful. You would have had to rearrange the whole thing.
No, because then she would have left and I would have had to go out and rearrange all my dishes.
And that's not helpful.
And then I'm annoyed and I'm exhausted, because now it's like now my friend leaves and I have to redo something I already did that would have been done the night before.
And I'm all hyper aware of that with you. So
because I'm so utterly independent, which is
exactly
just really lonely.
But not only because you're utterly independent, I think this goes along with every single relationship, that when someone truly wants to help you, they ask you what you need.
Yeah.
They don't just do it their way.
Well, but this is the problem. Then there's people who are avoidant attachment style, which, of course is on a spectrum. But there's people who are very avoidant in their relationships, right? And those people want others to read their mind. They're actually unwilling to communicate their desires because they're desiring that somebody just automatically know how they want things done and what they need. Yeah. And that's even more messy.
It is.
Because now I'm asking, what do you need? And you're saying nothing, but you're lying. You do need something, and you're upset with me because I'm not just assuming what you need, when I'm actually doing the healthiest thing, which is saying, hey, what do you want for your birthday?
Right.
You want me to just do what you want for your birthday, but I can't say no humans can read minds, but people can't just read your mind.
Right.
It's unhealthy for me to try and formulate your birthday the way that I want to do it, because that's not for you, it's for me.
Right.
It's healthy and loving to find out what you want and then do what you want, but the other person has to be able to express to you what they want and be open to that.
Right.
Because that's what creates true healthy connection and relationship and feeling heard and cared for.
Right.
That's a huge freaking point we just
But then that and not only is that like an avoidant behavior, but it's also someone who's addicted to being a victim.
Oh, well, yes, that's true too.
And so many people are. They literally put people in the position to let them down.
Yes.
Just so they can be hurt. Because they're addicted to feeling that way.
Well, that's more narcissistic, which is why avoidance and narcissism sometimes look a lot alike.
Right. It's not, like I was going to say, it's not necessarily a narcissistic tendency. But it's stemming from a different
place.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, not only narcissists do that, or not only avoidants do that, but yes.
I would say most people behave like that on a scale.
Yes.
And
we're not very good communicators.
I totally did. Beings. We were both super victims.
Oh, yeah.
Until we both were like, we're not going to be like this anymore. And then we were able to start pointing it out in each other. Like, you're not looking for a solution. You're just trying to cry right now. You just put yourself in this position to be hurt. And it was actually your fault. And we had to be able to hear that from each other.
Yes. And I'm actually able to talk about negative things that happen to me now without a spirit of victimization, because you can share, like, I just had a really rough week. Some things happened to me that weren't great, and I was able to share it with a couple people. I didn't share it with the world. I'm not going to sit here and share it with all of you. It's unnecessary to continue to talk about, but I needed a little support because I was struggling, and I needed some support. I sought it from two people, ended up telling 3 people, because it came up in another circumstance. But that evening, I sought understanding of my part and validation if I was right from 2 other people. And I did it in a way that did not...
I feel like you were just trying to garnish sympathy.
I was not looking for sympathy.
Right, exactly.
I was saying, hey, I am triggered and I am struggling. This just happened and this is really triggering me. And received validation, but it wasn't like, oh my gosh, this person just did this to me. Oh my gosh, they're so crappy. And me just wanting sympathy and wanting somebody to feel bad for me. And
tell me how great I am. Tell me how much they suck.
Yeah, and somebody to just save me from that. It was more just really an authentic conversation. And I walked away from that saying, wow, that felt really good. How I shared that I was very intentional with who I shared it with and how I shared it. And I walked away not feeling icky. I actually walked away for not the first time ever, because I've been growing towards this, but I actually felt validated.
Right.
Which, when I'm a victim and come from a place of victimization, even when I'm validated, I never walk away feeling validated, because I know that I was just seeking sympathy, and then it's not authentic.
Right. Yeah.
So I actually received what I've always been looking for my whole life when I actually stepped out of being the victim.
Right. Yeah.
It's very interesting how that works.
Yeah. And I'm really grateful for our relationship, because I don't know how we did it, but it just one point we were just like, I'm going to hear what you have to say when I'm doing this.
Yeah.
And we trusted each other to point it out. And we were both like, oh my gosh, you're right. I'm just being a victim right now. I'm just complaining for what? Like, what am I gaining from this, But anyways, a lot of people are super addicted to garnishing sympathy from people and making people, like, intentionally not telling people what they need so they can be hurt on purpose. And they're not doing it consciously, I don't believe.
No, I did it my whole life.
Yeah.
I'm a victim of that myself. See, I even say victim of that. I'm not a victim of it. I'm a perpetrator of it.
Right. I was subconsciously doing it.
I sometimes intentionally did it. I'll be really honest.
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
I consciously made choices to do that, thinking, I'm going to do this and see if this person really cares.
Yes. No,
I
totally
knew
did that.
what I was doing sometimes.
I totally did that too. And then you're like, wow, see, they don't care. They didn't think about doing that for me all on their own. They don't care about me.
Yeah, and there were pieces that I was unconscious of within that, but I did consciously manipulate situations like
and
that.
I think that's what's helped me move on from my marriage, because I changed that. I did have that issue, and I did do that on purpose sometimes. But then when I learned to start communicating my needs and they still weren't being cared for or met, that's what I knew.
Yeah.
That's when I knew. So that was a big turning point. And I mean, that goes along with our podcast that we did, like streeping. It's not even right. Sweeping our side of the street clean. Like, that came along with that. It helped me see things in such a different light.
Streeping.
I was putting the words together. Streeping helped
away.
me.
Sweeping
away all of the dirt. I saw everything differently.
Well, and as we still continue to, because I'm still seeing things right now.
Yeah.
It's a never-ending process, truly.
Right.
Some days I'm like, wow, I've come so far. And other days I'm like, wow, I still have so much to work on.
I'm like, I am
it's
screwed
like all within the same week.
Yeah. I mean,
sometimes in the same day, I'm like flying high, like, wow, look at my growth. Look at how I'm doing. Wow, I'm so healthy. Look
and we're
how
like,
healthy my interactions are. And then all of a sudden something happens and I'm like, damn,
I'm screwed up.
Fucked up.
Yeah. You're like, send me a video on anxious attachment. And you're like, yep, this is us.
Oh, that messed me up a couple days ago. We are
screwed up still.
Yeah. Like, wow, I still do all of these things.
Like, holy shit. What?
I don't react as harshly on them.
No.
But it's still in my head, and it still pulls me internally.
Yes.
I have to deal. Still growth.
There is, because I don't react on them, and there's still that emotional turmoil inside that I don't want to have anymore. It's like, go away.
I'm
like,
over
I don't.
It.
Yeah, I don't need you. Like, I'm all set. I mean, I guess it goes back to parts work. We, have to think more internally of what part is coming up there that feels like it needs to overthink so much.
Or enmesh, or isolate.
Yes,
or let's turn it back to what our original topic we were discussing, right? That codependency or that extreme independence.
Yes.
That are both so damaging to your life and your relationships.
I don't want it.
I don't either. I've lived a very lonely life, and it's been by choice.
Yeah.
Because of that. But I still, that's what I was connecting with when you were talking. I was connecting with that fear. It's more than a fear. It's like a terror inside me to let go of that fierce independence.
I'm afraid to be alone.
I'm very scared. It's opposite.
It's literal.
I'm afraid to be with people.
I have a terrifying fear of being alone.
It's interesting that we're so close.
I know.
And you can't be alone and I can't be around people. And yet somehow we've developed a really intimate, healthy friendship.
I wonder if maybe that's why, because
we completely balance each other, because you're so far in one extreme and I'm so
like,
far
hug me!
But now I hug you. You were feeling like skittish being touched for a little while, and I was like hugging you, and I was going up and saying, no, we need to hug.
No, I'm actually feeling that way now. It's a new development for me.
Yes.
When people touch me right now, I flinch.
Yeah.
And even if I see it coming, even if I'm comfortable with that person, it's very strange. And
I think you're facing some things that you've never faced, and I don't think it's some new trauma. I actually think
deep. No, it's old.
I think it's it's very old, and it's good that you're touching on it, because that means that you're digging into a place that you can now look at and heal. And you're having some very core stuff shift right now that totally is all connected to that. So it's all in the name of good healing and growth.
No, I definitely am not going to shy from it.
But it's why people don't grow, because they feel these things and it feels negative and bad, so they shrink back to where they were instead of walking through it.
Yeah, I want to observe why I'm flinching.
Yeah,
that's when people touch me right now. And I've never.
Now I want to hug you.
Oh
my gosh.
I love you. Okay. Oh, she almost kissed me.
Oh my gosh, I need to give you a hug.
I love you. Thank you.
That was nice.
Yeah. I have a really weird problem.
That was a loud laugh.
I don't want to flinch when people touch me. It's weird. I've been a big hugger my whole life. Like, bring it in.
Yeah.
Like, people go to shake my hand meeting me, and I'm like, no, I'm a hugger.
Yeah.
Like, that's how touchy-feely I am. And to flinch when someone touches me now is very strange for me.
Very against everything that you've always been.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I really want to figure out what's going on there.
Well, we will maybe have to touch more on this.
Yeah, I think so. Once I figure out what that is, I'll have to come back here and talk about it, because it's definitely intriguing me. Thank you all for listening today. We love you, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and we'll talk to you soon.